This episode is brought to you by Google Health. Stop chasing someone else's definition of health. What matters is what's healthy for you. Google Health offers a new kind of coach built with Gemini for effortless tracking, sleep insights, and holistic coaching tailored to you. Visit googlestore.com to learn more and start a new relationship with your health. Requires Google account, Google Health app, internet, and Google Health premium subscription. Features subject to change. Availability and results vary. Not intended for medical purposes. Works independently of Gemini apps. Check responses for accuracy.
Mornings have a rhythm. You can hear it, feel it. And at Quaker, we fuel it. With 100% whole grain oats and a good source of fiber in every bowl, helping you turn that rhythm into your soundtrack for a great day. Fuel to start whatever's next. Quaker, official sponsor of FIFA World Cup 26.
Let's go!
Welcome to The Hypnotist, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. Brought to you by the hypnotherapist demanded by celebrities, CEOs, and even royalty, Adam Cox. These recordings took place live from Adam's clinic in London's world-famous Harley Street. So, get yourself comfortable and enjoy today's episode of The Hypnotist.
Hi, it's Adam here, and you're about to listen to a hypnosis session about hope and possibility. And the client that I was working with on this particular session had an aggressive form of cancer and had gone through all of the recommended framework and treatment possibilities are recommended by their doctors and medical team, and had reached a point where there was nothing more the doctors could do for them. And what that essentially meant is that either they had to find a specialist clinical trial in their specific area of health that they would be eligible for, suitable for, and viable for, and that is successful, or accept that their life would be shorter than they would want it to be. And at the same time, they had arrived at a conclusion that because of their medical diagnosis, a relationship wasn't either viable or they wouldn't be desirable to someone else. And what this hypnosis session does is it does three key things. The first is about resilience. This client felt moments of what they called turbulent waves of fear and grief. And waves are a good metaphor in the sense that all waves are temporary. Most waves are manageable, and even if a wave knocks you down, you can get back up again. But there are things you can do with waves to mitigate their power over you. The angle of your body, the center of gravity. If you swim into a wave or under the wave, there's things that you can do. So I like a versatile metaphor like that. So it starts with a metaphor of resilience. And then it introduces the idea of a treasure hunt, but not just one treasure hunt, two treasure hunts. And the treasure hunts here represent two different goals this client had. One was finding a relevant clinical trial, and the other was finding a romantic partner. Both are not within their control, but that's what makes a treasure hunt a treasure hunt. There is the possibility of finding something valuable. And what they were inadvertently doing by making the decision that it's not worth even attempting to find a relationship because no one would be interested in someone like them with their diagnosis is they are making the decision on behalf of someone else that they haven't even met yet. That's not their right to do that. So the two treasure hunts represent finding two different things that are valuable, either of which enhances the quality of their life, both of which would radically change their lifespan and their quality of life. And that it ends with future pacing. Future pacing is where you take these metaphor suggestions and you think, right, what is now different in the future? And after the session finished, the client shared that they could imagine going about these two different objectives in a slightly different way than they would have done before. There was more hope, there was more optimism, there was more possibility. And the reason that people feel afraid to hope for good things is that they don't want the devastating disappointment of what they hope to happen not happening. But here's what's interesting. By not hoping at all, you become hopeless. And hopelessness is one of the key criteria for depression. It is better to be hopeful about possibility and opportunity and get it wrong than to be hopeless and not even try and get it right. That's why this is about resilience, finding the meaning in the quest, and feeling empowered to do things differently with no guarantee that it's going to go well. Hopefully you can connect with some of these concepts, even though it's unlikely that you're going through a very life-threatening disease. It's unlikely to be the case for you that that's true, but that doesn't mean that we don't have issues of resilience. We all are human. We all experience fear and setbacks and feelings of doubt and concerns about the future. That's a very human thing. And I think this metaphor is quite versatile to hopefully meet you where you're at. And if you like the idea of a more bespoke, personalized experience, there is a few things in the show notes, like a suitability test. There is a discounted consultation call. You can even book sessions with me directly if you'd prefer to do that. A lot of people tend to only listen to the recordings that I do with other people, but almost everyone that works with me started off listening to stuff that I did with other people. So if that connects with you and you like the idea of working with me directly, check out the links in the show notes or my website, adamcox.co.uk. For now, find a quiet, comfortable place where you won't be distracted or disturbed. Relax and enjoy the session. Take a deep breath in and as you breathe in that resourceful feeling of calm and relaxation, and as you exhale, just allow your eyes to close, and as they close, give yourself permission to relax and drift inwards. That's it. Deeper and deeper relaxed. When you breathe in for deeper. And when you exhale for longer. So much so that each breath allows you to drift deeper and more comfortably relaxed. That's it. In fact, the deeper you breathe, the more relaxed you can feel. And the more relaxed you can feel, the deeper you breathe. As your body relaxes, your imagination awakens. And I want you to imagine a shoreline, perhaps a beach with waves, maybe a stretch of sand, with a particular sound of water arriving and leaving. Waves breaking, water retreating. Perhaps you can imagine walking on that beach. You don't have to build it. It's already there, waiting the way that shorelines wait, patient with the tide, patient with the weather, and patient with whoever comes to stand on them. So take a deep breath in, and on the outward breath, you can allow yourself to arrive there a little more. The same way the tide arrives, not by rushing, but by returning again and again until it's simply there. Eyelids feeling heavier as you let the sound of my voice become like the sound of the sea itself. Something you don't have to follow anywhere. Something that simply moves closer or further away while you rest. And as you stare into the ocean, perhaps, where the sea meets the sky, you may notice that in this place the water has a rhythm, and it always has. Long before you arrived here, and long after you leave, the water will keep this same rhythm. In and out, in and out. And with each wave that draws back from the shore, you can let yourself go 10 times deeper into this rest. As I count down, drift deeper within. 10, drawing back now, 9 and 8. The pull of the water taking you down and under. Just imagine being under the surface of the waves. Into stillness, 7, 6, 5. And notice how the sand holds its shape even after the wave has gone. It doesn't fight the water, and it isn't destroyed by it either. The sand simply holds what can be held and lets the rest move through. Drifting from the sand back into the sea, 4, 3, deeper now. That's it, deeper than the reach of the last wave, 2 and then 1. And all the way down into the quiet place beneath the water's noise, where things can be looked at clearly without flinching. Because there are waves that arrive, whether you're ready or not. And you already know this. And some of these waves are bigger and more turbulent than anything you asked for. They suddenly come in from somewhere, out past the horizon, built by weather you didn't choose and can't see coming. And they arrive at your particular stretch of shore anyway. And there are 2 ways a person can meet a big wave like that. And one is to plant your feet and try to be a wall. And you already know what a wall becomes. Eventually, against relentless water that doesn't tire. But the other way is older than walls. It does what the sand does. It's what a swimmer does. the swimmers who learned. You don't out-strengthen the wave. You find the place inside it where it will carry you instead of flatten you. So imagine letting your knees soften and allow your body to become something the water moves through and with, rather than something the water breaks against. And notice, this doesn't mean the wave was small. And it doesn't mean that the wave didn't matter, or that it wasn't frightening on the way in. What if it just means you found the part of yourself that already knows how to be moved without being destroyed? And haven't you done this before? Because there have been other waves. And yet here you are, still here, breathing, living, moving. Which means some part of you already has this skill, even on the days that it doesn't feel like it. You don't need to fight every wave. There is a part of you that already knows how to move with the waves without being broken. It's time to leave the water, explore the beach, and just imagine further along this shoreline. There are two paths leading away from the water, perhaps into dunes or a forest. And you know somehow that each one leads toward a different kind of treasure. And not the kind of treasure that's guaranteed. The kind that's real, precisely because it isn't guaranteed. And as you think about treasure, maybe you can recall childhood stories of treasure hunts, buried treasure, treasure maps. It's hard to think about treasure without also thinking about adventures and drama, risks and choices. But treasure is whatever we make it. And the first path is the one that winds towards buried things, hidden pockets of possibility, scattered further inland, some marked, some not, and some closer than they appear, and some further. This is the hunt for the thing that could still change everything. You don't know yet exactly where it is. Nobody does yet. Not even the people who buried it. But a hunt for treasure only requires one thing to be worth taking. That the treasure is real, and that looking is different from having already lost. And I want you to imagine how a person on a genuine treasure hunt moves. They're not frantic. And they're not gripping every shovelful of sand with white knuckles, needing this one to be it. They look and they dig with attention. They read the map they have, and they follow the clues that are actually there. And then they let each empty patch of sand. Simply be information and not defeat. And they stay on the hunt, because staying on the hunt is itself a quest, a life, a sense of purpose, whether or not X ever marks the spot. And I think somewhere within you, the part that likes freedom and adventure is already a treasure hunter. Allow that first treasure to be a particular thing where it's not guaranteed, but it's worth pursuing. It may not exist, you may not be eligible. There may be other barriers, but what an adventure to look for it anyway. And the second path runs alongside the first, close enough that sometimes you could see both paths. But this one leads towards a different kind of find. Not hidden in the ground, but hidden in a person you haven't met yet. Perhaps someone out walking their own shoreline, looking for their own kind of treasure, who might just be looking for something that looks a lot like you. Consider the possibility that someone out there is your treasure and you are theirs. This path too asks for the patient kind of searching. Not the kind where you plant yourself in one spot and refuse to move until the treasure comes to you. But the kind where you go looking. You turn over a few more stones than you might have before. You allow yourself to be seen in more than one place, and perhaps more than one representation of you. And you allow curiosity to do more of the work than certainty, because increasing how often you look itself is a way of increasing your luck. And that isn't naivety. That's simply how treasure hunts work. And here is the thing about walking two paths that run this close together. The search for one treasure strengthens the resolve for the other. And the hope built on one doesn't stay politely in its lane. It leaks. Progress on one creates more optimism and progress on the other. You are not diluted by searching for two different types of treasure. Each one fuels the other search. You can search for something without needing to already know that you'll find it. Looking is not the same as losing. Every chance you take and every stone you turn changes future possibilities. And this shoreline with its dunes and forest and buried treasure, you already know this place is not simple. There could be storms on the horizon, and there are waves that are genuinely bigger than the ones you'd have chosen. The horizon doesn't come with guarantees printed on it. That's true and it stays true. Whatever else is also true. And it can also be true in the very same moment, without one thing cancelling out the other. That a person standing on this beach can still choose which way to face, can still choose to keep 2 treasure maps folded in their pocket instead of none, can still feel the sun on the days there is sun, and taste the salt in the air, and notice that being here, searching, breathing, choosing, is already a kind of answer to the wave, even before either treasure is found. This isn't about pretending the water is calmer than it is. It's about noticing that you have never, not once, needed the water to be calm in order to still be a person standing on a shore, facing the horizon and holding a map or 2. And you get to decide what the sand remembers about you, not the outcome. The outcome was never fully yours to decide. Not for you, not for anyone on any beach. But you decide how you walk the beach, what quests you pursue, what adventures you seek out, what risks you take, and what increases wonderful possibilities. You can hold uncertainty and hope in the same hand without either one needing to win. The outcome was never fully yours to control, but the walking, the choices, the decisions, the meaning, that is always yours to fully control. And I wonder if you are someone who keeps searching, if you are someone who can't be moved by a wave. I want you to get a sense that you are the person. You can swim into the wave, ride the waves, be washed by the waves, without being broken by them. You are someone who lets hope and realism travel together. Not naive, yet still pragmatically optimistic. You are someone worth being found. Someone else is your treasure and you are theirs. 2 treasure hunters that may or may not find each other. What an adventure. So let those words settle, the way that sand settles after the tide has gone. Not vanishing, just becoming part of the shape of the beach itself. And before we leave this beach, before we leave this treasure hunt, I want you to imagine what these treasure hunts would look like in your reality. What research do you do? What choices do you make? What decisions? What chances? What attempts at rolling the dice, not guaranteeing it lands on the number you want? What does your future look like pursuing these treasure hunts. That's it. Just imagine that. Imagine what you do today, tomorrow, the day after. What represents progress on these wonderful adventures? And part of you already knows that when you trade your expectations for appreciations, you lose the risk of disappointment and you increase the possibility of hope, wonder, and wonderful surprises. So as you hold that thought, it's time to leave the beach, leave the waves, leave the sea. But know there is a part of your unconscious still pursuing those treasure hunts. And as you start to float back, take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your nose. Wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, connect and calibrate into the here and the now. As I now count from 1 to 10 to awaken you. Starting to count. 1, 2, 3, waking up. 4, 5, 6, more alert. 7, 8, open your eyes, open your eyes. 9, 10, wide awake, wide awake, wide awake. Thank you so much for joining me on today's episode of The Hypnotist. If you've enjoyed this episode or got some value from it, please give it a 5-star rating and review. And maybe you know someone that would also benefit from this particular episode, in which case share the episode with them so they can also get the benefit too. And if you would like to listen to this episode where it's just the hypnosis, so no intro, no outro, no explanation, just the hypnosis and completely ad-free, there will be a link in the description where you can subscribe at a very low cost and only get access to the hypnosis. So if that's of interest, please check that out. Thank you again for being a regular listener of The Hypnotist, and I'll see you again soon for more.